Want to know an easy way to beat stress and fatigue and get better sleep? Magnesium. The one I use is Magnesium Breakthrough from BioOptimizers. It helps me relax more, stress less, and sleep deeper. What's not to love? When you get all 7 critical forms of magnesium, your body gets a serious upgrade. From your brain to your sleep, pain and inflammation, even muscle tension. Guys, you know taking care of your body and your brain is more important than ever. With this one simple action, you can start feeling the benefits quickly. Go to magnesiumbreakthrough.com/Chael. You're going to save 10% with promo code Chael10. Or just click on the link in the description or pinned comment to try the power of magnesium for yourself. Francis Ngannou. Guys, I know I'm a broken record, and I'm only going to make you hear this today and probably 3 more times. Probably 3 more times, and I'll have it out of my system and realize that I've hedged my bets and I've made it clear, all right? I used to stick my nose in Francis's business. I met Francis. I try not to put my nose in his business anymore. What do you want me to do? It's the heavyweight champion of the world. I believe by the time Francis gets in there with Gone, I think when this promotion is done, I think when we get excited, when we all get told this story over these next 3 weeks, I think it's going to be the biggest heavyweight fight of all time. Not the biggest fight of all time. It's not going to be UFC 100. It's not going to beat a Conor McGregor. I think it's going to be the biggest heavyweight fight of all time. It is for sure the most interesting. It is for sure the most compelling. It for sure comes with the most at stake here. Where Francis's contract stands and what Francis wants to do within the organization as the champion, whether he wins or he loses, he brings those pressures with him. That story alone is better than any heavyweight story I've ever been told. And I'm not even starting the story of this fight. Of all of the 10 things that Dana has to work with, that is number 10. There are 9 things more interesting than that. And I submit for you that no heavyweight fight has ever gone off in this particular situation where the heavyweight champion himself is looking to fulfill a contract and say adios. The pressure that comes with that alone is more compelling than any other heavyweight fight that we've had. My point being, while I'm trying to stay out of Francis's wheelhouse, I don't know how. Francis is owed something as the heavyweight champion of the world. He's owed people like me talking about him. We could be nice or we could be in between. Doesn't make a damn bit of difference. We still owe him the airtime. We do. And the same is true for Surreal, particularly when you've got this beautiful record of 15-0. You got another record on top of that, which is you've never been taken down. That's stunning, by the way. Hasn't been in there with the real big wrestlers, right? The Daniel Cormiers and the Velasquez was a different era, but all the same, he hasn't been taken down. Not one. He didn't even slip. He get knocked down. He's never seen the canvas. It's very interesting. You could talk about who the great fighters are. You could talk about the fastest fighter. You could talk about your favorite fighter. You could have a very meaningful back and forth conversation. You're going to be stuck if the word is most terrifying. It's Francis Ngannou. The scariest fighter. It's Francis Ngannou. So Surreal Gone gets a ton of credit. We owe it to these guys to talk about them, but Francis is starting to make some things public. Look, I encourage him to do it. I would encourage him to try to get people to stop. There is talks that are open about where his contract stands and his relationship and his happiness within the organization. That's compelling. It's also a hell of a lot to have on your shoulders when you're about to walk in there against the undefeated interim heavyweight champion of the world. You want as clear of a head as possible. You hear about guys that are trying to peak. They're trying to rest their body. They're trying to make sure they're ready at the right time physically. You want to do that with your mind as well. If you're carrying baggage around with me, it's hard. You guys ever feel nervous? You ever get nervous or scared? Or maybe you're sad, so maybe a tragedy happened in your life, but it's something that you're carrying around with you. Go run the next time that happens to you. You will be shocked how few of steps you get done. You'll be shocked how hard it is to even put those shoes on and do exercise when you're carrying around anything emotional with you, and you will be exhausted quickly. I could only surmise, I'm guessing, I'm putting myself in Francis's shoes, but that's the best I can do with any situation I'm going to speak on, right? I could only surmise that he does not have a clear head. I bring that up because it's a fascinating part of the story. It's not me getting in Francis's wheelhouse. I owe it to Francis to stay in his wheelhouse right now. I owe it to Francis to bring attention to this fight and have a whole bunch of people tune in and watch. History is going to be made. Which is Francis is either going to get one of the hardest bits of work he still has left in the rearview mirror, or Ciryl Gane is going to flip the entire script of 2021 and become the champion of the world, undisputed. It's a very fascinating matchup. Now, what's going on with Francis, and I'm not speaking out of school, he has a manager. And the manager came out and did an interview, and he was talking about the fact that, look, I don't really have an open dialogue going on with the UFC right now. We're not really in a negotiation back and forth. Okay, fine. Everybody's got their own thing going on. No problem there. He said, make no mistake, this is not all about the money. Quoting, this negotiation is 1,000% not all about the money, end quote. What could it be about that? I don't ask this to be condescending. I'm not attempting to be funny. There's only a few things that Dana White brings to the table. Unified rules. Do you have a problem with the rules? Dana doesn't do that. The weight class. Do you not think it should be 265? Do you not think it should be scratch weight for championship matches? I'm not trying to be silly right now. I'm not. But there's only so many things. Is it the uniform? Do you not like the uniform? Do you not like the shape? Does octagon bother you and you want to do it in a triangle? I mean, in all fairness, what could it possibly be? Because what Dana White will do is he will provide an opportunity, he will promote, and he will matchmake. I'm done, guys. I'm done. There is nothing else. Do you have a problem with the matches? Do you have a problem with the marketing? I've got to ask these questions because 2 years ago, the world didn't know what an Ngannou was. And now he is the most respected and terrified figure in sports. All of them. He's scarier than Tyson Fury. I mean, right, there's a lot of things that were done really well. And if you disagree with me and you don't think that they were done well, then you also have to offer a counter to my argument, which is where you could go that could do better. That's up to you. That will be none of my business. I would find it interesting and I would listen and I'll come and talk about it, but that is, in fact, up to you. But sometimes in make-believe land, there's other things that Santa Claus, known as Dana, is supposed to do. And Dana's not Santa Claus, and Dana's not your father. He's a promoter who happens to do things by the book, above board, follows through with what he says he's going to do, provides an opportunity for what everybody else swore they wanted to do. He believed you and gave you a spot on the roster that somebody else wanted. I mean, in all fairness, there's only so many things that he could do. So if it's not about the money, what is it about? And I'm not being a dick about this. I want to know the answer. I'm curious. There's many things that I could really get behind and support. I never loved the idea of a fighter being a whore. Who's got the most money? Whoever's got the most money, that's where I'm going to go. I would encourage you that you're looking at your career wrong. I would encourage you that first and foremost is platform and opportunity for exposure. Take less money for the right platform that's in line with you and your brand and your goals, your potential sponsors, your base, which comes right down to the most simplest of forms, which is your social media. What do they think's cool? And who can get the most eyeballs on you? That's where I would start. And then comes the money, which is a very relevant part. And I don't dismiss anybody that wants to discuss it. But there is nothing in all of business that I've ever heard of that is more of a gift than the championship clause. It is not owed to you. It is not part of your contract. It is a gift that because it was given to somebody all the way back in like 2007 was the first time this ever happened. Something like that. I'm very close on that. 2008, 2006 was given to somebody. And he goes, you know what? Give it to every champion. Not every championship match. Once you win, once you become the champion, that's his business. I can't even really speak on it. I've just never met a champion who wasn't part of the championship clause. And once you lose it, you go back to the other contract. And sometimes that's really hard for champions. Or go, wait a minute, I'm doing the same thing. Why am I not rewarded the same way? Listen, in all fairness, that's a gift in the first place. It's become policy over time, but it was just kindness in the first place. The same thing goes on with the bonuses, guys. I was at the second UFC ever. Fought a guy named Trevor Prangley. We fought at the Hard Rock on a Wednesday. Nobody showed up. It was on a channel, I believe it was on Spike. It might have been on something called Fuel at the time. Right, the sport was still growing. Dana took us into a back room, and one of the guys speaks up and goes, hey, what about bonuses? You've done bonuses before. Can we do it this time? And Dana grabs a scrap piece of paper and asked around, and somebody had a pencil, and he wrote it all down. And it was $7,500. But you had fight of the night, submission of the night, knockout of the night. He had to write it down. He didn't even know those terms weren't set into place at this point. Fight of the night, submission of the night, knockout. Fight of the night, FOTN, all the things and the acronyms that we see now that we just expect. I can tell you in 2005, Dana didn't even know what they were, and neither did we, which is why we wrote it down. And Dana turns everybody see this, it was $7,500 for each one. It's worked its way up to $50,000, and it's guaranteed no matter what show, and they do one a week. $200,000, $800,000 a month. $9.6 million a year off the top of my head. It's going to be given away. Make no mistake when I use that term. It's going to be given away. But and I think I've won you on that. I think that you do understand, yeah, maybe we did take those for granted, and those don't exist other places, and they don't have to exist here. And that is a level of generosity. I think that I've won you over on that with that history lesson and that timeline. The championship clause falls into that. That's a gift, and it's a beautiful one. And I personally don't know of anybody that's fought in 4 championship fights and has ever complained, ever, again, about anything. It's a very beautiful spot, and to be the heavyweight champion in what I'm predicting is going to be the biggest fight ever for the heavyweight class. This is a class that had Brock Lesnar in it. I think that Ciryl versus Francis is going to go down as the biggest fight ever, and I only submit for you, what do we have to discuss? What is it that we're talking about? We're all going to participate. I'm giving you a piece of the night, and I'm not making you write a check to give it. I'm giving it to you, and it's an endless number. It never caps. That's not fair, guys. That's not fair at all. That's generous. That is ridiculously generous. So I only bring to you whatever Francis says going, I'm open about it. If this manager's going to teach us all something, I'm open to that too. There was a time I would have come in reserved. I would have closed the book and I said, you're a fool. I'm not there. I've now got an open mind. Made a deal with Francis, told him I'd have an open mind. And I do. Kept that deal. But I think that I am reasonable to ask you if it's not about the money, and we're told, and I quote, it is 1,000% not only about the money. What else is it about? And once we identify that there's only 3 things that the promoter does, so there's only 3 things it could be about, we start to narrow it down. Which one are you unpleased with? Reasonable question. And who is it that you see out there that you think can do better?